And we begin this morning with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us. I understand as we begin this interview, Tel Aviv is again under an alert that the sirens have just gone off.
Well, the sirens went off because Hamas have fired rockets on Israel's major city. They're firing rockets at all our cities. I want your audience to imagine what it would be like if all the cities of the United States, I'm not just talking about New York and Washington, I'm talking about all the cities of the United States, from the East Coast to Colorado, 80% of your population would be in bomb shelters with a minute to a minute and a half red alert warning time to get into those shelters. That's what we're experiencing right now as we speak. So this is an unconscionable terrorist attack on civilian populations, and of course, we have to act to defend ourselves.
How many rockets have been fired so far, Prime Minister, from the Gaza?
Right now, over 400 rockets on Israel's cities. Maybe the number has increased to closer to 500. That is, many more rockets were actually fired, but those are the ones that made it into the space above our population centers. So we're talking perhaps a larger number. But you know, there are two things about this. One is the fact that this is a deliberate Hamas terrorist weapon. And with the exception of chemical weapons or nuclear weapons, it's the ultimate terror weapon. And any country would act to defend itself against this. We are doing exactly what any country would do, you would do, if you were targeted from across the border. You would try to pinpoint the rocketeers. That's what we're doing. Now we come into the other problem. See, the Hamas and the other terrorist groups like Islamic Jihad are firing from Gaza when their rocketeers and their command posts are embedded in homes, hospitals, next to kindergartens, mosques. And so we're trying to operate to target them surgically. But the difference between us is that we're using missile defense to protect our civilians, and they're using their civilians to protect their missiles. So naturally, they're responsible for all the civilian deaths that occur accidentally. We're sorry for any accidental civilian death, but it's the Hamas that bears complete responsibility for such civilian casualties.
Prime Minister, the UN Security Council, of course, called for a ceasefire yesterday by both sides. I take it that's not going to happen for a while as far as you're concerned.
Well, our goal is to achieve sustainable quiet and security for our people, and we're doing that by degrading Hamas and other terror capabilities. I'm not going to say right now how and when that goal will be achieved, whether by diplomatic and military means, but that goal has to be achieved. We need to have quiet restored to our people for a sustainable period of time and not just for 5 minutes.
Last night, Israeli forces on the ground went into Gaza to take out a rocket launching facility there. Is this a sign that this war is about to get wider, or are you going to go in force into Gaza with ground forces?
Well, we use whatever means are necessary to defend our people, as would the United States or any other government faced with such a predicament.
Prime Minister, how long do you think this is going to go on? I mean, I understand what you're saying here, but how will you know you've won?
I think the issue is achieving the mission, and we'll have to see how that is achieved. I was asked by someone, is this the beginning of the end? And I said, I don't know if it's the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end. We've just received now a quiet alert. As we were giving this interview, can you hear this through the... Can you hear this? No?
Yes.
Well, what you're hearing right now is that's the calm alert. In other words, when we began this interview, we were under bomb alert. And as the minutes passed, now we are being told that people can go out into the open air again. This is the kind of reality we're living in, Bob. And we'll do, as I said, whatever is necessary to put an end to this.
Do you think that this can never be solved militarily, Prime Minister? Isn't there going to have to be some kind of a negotiated settlement here, some sort of a diplomatic settlement? I'm not sure I know what that is, but where does this go from here?
Well, when you have something like Hamas who talks about they don't care about political settlements. They want to destroy the state of Israel. They're not even talking about building a Palestinian state. They want to establish some kind of their version of of the caliphates. They say they have to murder Jews wherever they find them worldwide. So these people are not into political settlements. But it doesn't mean that we cannot have the necessary action coupled with diplomatic backing to achieve the protection of the Israeli citizens from these rocket threats, tunnel threats, and so on. But again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of this. Sometimes you just have to fight against people who want to murder you, and kill your
Prime
state.
Minister, do you think that that the whole idea of a two-state solution is now dead? Is that just gone by the by?
Well, look, I think there are two separate issues. Whether we can achieve a negotiated settlement with those Palestinians who are willing to coexist next to Israel is one question. But that doesn't fly in the face of the other need. In fact, I think it is complemented by the other need. That you've got to fight back and roll back the forces who are seeking to extinguish the Jewish state completely. We need to defeat those people, roll them back, or peace is not going to be possible. Because as far as Hamas is concerned, they couldn't care less if you come with a two-state solution, a three-state solution, or a four-state solution. They want a no-state solution, no Jewish state. And therefore, if you want to have peace, you have to fight these people and you have to roll them back. Otherwise, there's no prospect for peace.
Let me talk to you a little bit about the negotiations going on now with Iran over these sanctions and so forth. The Iranian representative to those talks going on said on NBC this morning that there really was no reason for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. What's your response to that?
I think it's comical. Iran has invested an untold fortune, certainly over $100 billion, probably close to $200 billion, in building ICBMs, which are only used for nuclear weapons, in building underground nuclear facilities for nuclear weapons, in enrichment, uranium enrichment, and centrifuges that are only for nuclear weapons, in plutonium and heavy water that is only for nuclear weapons. If they wanted civilian nuclear energy, they wouldn't need any of that. 17 nations have civilian nuclear energy and they don't have a single centrifuge. So Iran is lying. That's a straightforward lie. Second point is that I think that the capability to make these weapons is what's at issue right now. That's what's being negotiated as we speak in Vienna. And I think the crucial thing is not to trust Iran. I think nobody in his right mind would, and not to inspect Iran. That's secondary and largely immaterial. The crucial question is to deny Iran the capability to make the nuclear weapons that they seek. And that means taking the enriched nuclear material and the means to enrich it and to make a bomb, to take it out of Iran, just as it was done vis-a-vis the chemicals and the means to make chemical weapons out of Syria. That's the deal that should be done. Any other deal would be a bad deal, and it's much better to have no deal than a bad deal.
Prime Minister, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to work now and keep your head down.
Thank you.